Was a kid in my neighborhood. We were like the only Jewish kids in the neighborhood, and one of my pretty close friends across the street, he had a birthday. We never had birthday parties. Like growing up, we never had birthday parties. But the kid across the street had a birthday party. I was pretty good friends with him, but he didn't invite me to his birthday party, or my brother's, and he invited the kids from his school, to his birthday party. And no one showed to his birthday party. Not a single person came to his birthday party. And I was petrified. Oh my God, what if I had a birthday party and no one showed? So that really left an impression on me. And I really never had any Farbrengens or parties or anything until I came to this community. I came to Lubavitch. And whenever I have a Farbrengen, I always have a fear that no one is going to come. And I'm always so happy when so many people come. And I remember my dad, when I was growing up, he always told me, my dad didn't have any, my dad had a lot of acquaintances, but he didn't have any friends. He just had my mom's friends. And he always wanted me to have friends. He said, my father's a Holocaust survivor. He says, how important it is to have friends. He wanted me to have friends. He wanted me to have a community. And when I sent out invitations for this Farbrengen, I sent it out to over, at least in my WhatsApp, over 150 people. And these are 150 people who I actually know who they are. So my father would be very pleased to see, this community's been amazing. It's great to have a community. It's not something that, people have. I don't take it for granted. And anyone who shows to one of my Farbrengens or anything, I don't take it for granted. So I've been very lucky to have this amazing community. So I want to thank you all, and I will be moving away sort of, but I'll never be leaving Pittsburgh. And I just want to thank everybody. So how do I know, how is it that Chaim Dalfin is here, and how did I get connected with Chaim Dalfin? When Rabbi Altain Oliver Shalom was ill, he would have Yom Kippur's coming up, he would have a Yom Kippur minyan in his home. So I davened at the Yom Kippur minyan in his home, and it's long, so you like to read a little something other than just what's in the machzor. And he happened to have this series of books from advice from the Rebbe, from Chaim Dalfin. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And I read those books and I devoured them. It was so interesting and everything was on point. And then the way it was organized, I really wanted to get a set of them myself. And it's not so easy getting Chaim Dalfin's books, by the way. They're not everywhere. And you got to find them, and anyway, so I got those books, and I would always read them on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That was sort of like my machzor, is his books. And from there, I started purchasing his other books, and some of them made a really big impression on me. Lakewood and Lubavitch was one of them. Satmar and Lubavitch was another one. I've quoted them in some of the talks that I gave, and I really liked the book so much that I reached out to him and I said, listen, what you're doing is really great. What you're doing, it's amazing. Because I can tell you, when I finish one of his books, I'm a different person afterwards. I get an appreciation for how things are and how things developed, and it makes a big impact. So since then, we've been in communication, and I've bought as many of his books as I can. And then, honestly, I'm not really sure why I asked him to start speaking at the Farbrengens. Probably because I follow his YouTube channel. He posts on YouTube a lot, and I watch his YouTubes and his WhatsApps. And he was speaking at the Farbrengen, and it was actually at his insistence that he be here in Pittsburgh. My sort of last Farbrengen here, and I just do want to say one thing about Rabbi Dalfin, and there's many things that I'm impressed about, but one thing is, if you look at the volume of the books he has, I would say the one thing that is the most terrifying to anybody is a blank page. How he writes that many books, to have to start with a blank page, that is fear. Having a blank page, and how he can sit down repeatedly with a blank page and fill up those books, that takes special koyach. And when he finishes a book, to have, and I know what pain he must go through because I do some writing myself. I know what pain he must go through to finish one book, to finish that many books, and to constantly have the strength to face a blank page is amazing. Because with no further ado, Rabbi Chaim Dalfin.
Chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim,
L'chaim l'baracha.
Today is the yahrzeit, the 60th yahrzeit of Rebbe Chana Schneerson, the Rebbe's mother. So I'd like to begin the Farbrengen with a little history of the Rebbetzon's life. The Rebbetzon was born, talking about Rebbetzon Chana, in 1880 in Nikolaev. She was born there because her father, Reb Meir Shlomo Yanovsky, was the rabbi, one of the rabbis in Nikolaev. Her Zayda, who wrote the Shara Koilel, Reb Avram David Lavut, was the previous Rav in Nikolaev. And when he passed on, his son-in-law, Reb Meir Shlomo, took over. So she grew up in a family of great scholarship. And this is important to know and to understand. I'll tell you why. Amongst great men and women within the Jewish world, within the Torah world, each one has their cup of tea. The household of the Lavuts, Yanovskis, and the Schneersons, this particular Schneerson, Rebbetzon Chan, became a Schneerson by marrying Reb Leivik. There was a tremendous amount of scholarship. In other words, I'm not talking now about what we call tzidkis, holiness. That's a different story. That's also true, but there was, in Hebrew, there's a word, a malumid or a malumedes, an educated person. They were educated people, not only in the field of Torah, but in other fields as well. And I don't say this, just as a chassid who has to feel that way, has to say it. No, I'm talking now historically. And I'll give you just a few examples. The Rebbetzon Chana was well versed in dikduk, in Hebrew grammar. How many of us over here at this table know dikduk very well? I'll admit I don't know it well, even though I went to Lubavitch Yeshiva High School with Rabbi Garfinkel and Rabbi Lezevnik, and we had in high school a class on Hebrew, and I remember what they taught me: eti, neti, u, ani, ata. It's all nice, but I really don't know Hebrew dikduk well enough. The Rebbetzon Chana knew Hebrew dikduk well. Number two, she spoke Hebrew well. Now, you're talking about a woman, late 1800s, 1880 to 1900, 1910, and is scholarly in the Hebrew language, to speak it, to understand it. That was a novelty. And it was even a greater novelty in these type of homes, because there's too much to say, but just, we'll say it briefly. Generally, Chassidim in particular, even Litvisher, the more from Chassidim and Litvaks, were very much against the Hebrew language and the knowledge of the Hebrew language. I'm not talking about Lashon Kodesh, Torah language, because it smelled and smacked of Zionism, right? Zionism was treif. So anyone that dabbled in that field was a suspect, okay? So here you're talking about a woman who knows this and knows it well, this was a novelty. Another example. The Rebbe had a cousin, his name was Avram Shalansky. He came to Eretz Yisrael and he became a very famous poet. Has anyone heard of this cousin Shalansky? So he wrote his memoir, and it was translated, and I read lots of it. And there especially is a part there, he tells over kind of inside the cheder, inside what's going on. He lived in his parents lived in the same building as Reb Leivik. I think even on the same floor. They were cousins. I don't remember right now how they were cousins. They were cousins. So he tells over that he would go into the house and play with the three boys, the Reb and his two brothers. And when he went into the room, what do you see? What do you see in kids' rooms? Even from kids' rooms, Baruch Hashem, they don't have rock stars on the wall. Yeah, okay. You know what the Rebbe and his brothers had on the wall? Can anyone guess? Rafal, my dear Chaver, could you guess what the Rebbe had on the wall? No? Astronomy charts. Astronomy charts. That's scholarship. That's education. Not that we should. There was a cleverness. Let's use another word, a sophistication of Torah values expressed also in the sciences and cultures of the world that the family had. And in particular, Rebbe Tzimchana, more than Reb Leivik. Reb Leivik was a great Rav and a Makupel and a Tzaddik. And who runs the home? We all know the mama, the mother. So, because she came from education, she educated her sons. And Shalansky tells over how another thing that was very emphasized in their home was negina, Chassidic songs, Chassidische nigunim. Why? Well, Yanovskys were Levium. And I believe someone told me, I didn't have a chance to check it, that Avram Lavut was also a Levi. Does anyone know? But that's what I was told. I think so. No, Levium Beshira, right? What's the avoid of Levium? Song. So that's just, they were Levium. But in addition to that, they were composers of Lubavitch Nigunim. And we'll sing one of those Nigunim in a moment, because you all know the Nigun. You probably don't know that it was composed by the Rebbe Tzimchana's Zayda, Rabbi David Lavut. So Negina too, what's Negina? What's Chassidish song? It comes from a refinement. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes in a Sicha, it says like this: Der was hat nit, I'll translate in a moment. Der was hat nit, kein Chush in Negina, hat nit kein Chush in Chassidus. The one that doesn't have an expertise, a talent of Negina is lacking a real talent understanding Chassidus. And I want to tell you, my friends, I was, besides a Talmud, a Ben Bais, Rabbi Yoel Khan, and I saw firsthand how this individual, with all of his genius, but Negina was such an important part. And when he sang a niggin, it wasn't just singing a niggin. Every tnua, every movement was emphasized. Every movement had a meaning. There was a before and an after. And you know where was the kind of hotbed of Chabad Negina? The city of Nikolaev. Nikolaev. Why Nikolaev? She'll say because Rabbi Avram David Levut and the Yanovskis were there and they were great Bali Menagdim, they were great. It's more than that. Rabbi Yoel told me once like this. It's a famous word, but he told it to me once. There were two types of Chassidim. There were Chassidim that came from a city called Kremenchuk, which is in Ukraine today, right? And they went to the Rebbe and they came back. And the Chassidim came from Nikolaev, the Charatonovs, the Altoizes, those families came from Nikolaev, Yanovskis, and they came back. They went to the Rashab, they went to the Marash, the Tzemach Tzedek, and they came back. So Yoel said that when Kremenchuker Chassidim, who were known as great maskilim, great intellectuals in the study of Chassidus, would come back, the people would ask them, "Was ist gewesen der Divra Maschel von Maimer?" What was the opening paragraph, the opening line, the opening posik, the opening chazal of the Maimer that the Rebbe said? In other words, what enamored them? What caught their attention? The Maimer, the Chassidus, the intellectualism, the depth. When a Chassid came back from Nikolaev, you know what the Chassidim in Nikolaev would say, from the Rebbe, they would say, "Was macht der Rebbe? Wie fühlt sich der Rebbe? How is the Rebbe feeling? How's the Rebbe doing?" They weren't so interested in the mimer. They were interested in the actual physical health, stamina of their Rebbe. Nikolaev was a very, he used the word emotional type of atmosphere for Chabad Chassidim. Kremenchuk was more of the intellectual. You had what was called the Beralach, the Geraris. There's a lot to say, and time is short, and there's too much to talk about. So but general, it's like saying the Hasidim for Rabbi Rosenfeld's community in Pittsburgh are a certain style. The Hasidim from Bechveis HaShliach in Florida, who has an Anash community, are another style. Right? Every community has a culture. And by the way, this is something that I've written about extensively, and people don't pay attention enough to this. The culture. You are what your culture is. What culture were you raised in? What culture did you adapt? What is your culture? And the culture makes a big difference. Like Rafal, my dear friend Rafal here, who came from Borough Park, he told me years ago, there's no place like Borough Park. Rabbi Rosenfeld also grew up in Borough Park. I also grew up, right? I don't know about him. I like Borough Park, but the way Rafal said it to me was very interesting, and he's not a Borough Parker boy. I think you're from Manhattan, Rafal, or something. Bronx, okay, a Bronx. Every place has its culture. Rebbe Tzimchana was raised in Nikolaev. And Rebbe Tzimchana had parents and grandparents who were very pneumistic Hasidim, deep inner Hasidim, who they in addition to everything else, they had feelings and warmth. And Rabbi Roosevelt mentioned, I'm going to just take off on this for 1 second, because I don't know if anyone picked up on that. You heard what he said, that the Rebbe put his hand under his mother and walked with her. Now, if I ask you, why did the Rebbe do that? What would you say? What would you say? She was an older woman, right? Even in 1947 when she came, I think she was already in her 60s. She was born in 1880, right? The 60s. An older woman, you put your hand, and then 70s, 80s for sure. And that's true. But I think it's a lot deeper, and it's much. The Russian Chassidim Bechlal, and I saw this, my father was a Russian Chassid, and I saw this by the Russian Chassidim. Really, I saw it by them. Let me tell you a story within a story to understand this. I was once in the home of a Yid named Mendel Shem Tov. The Kronites know, right? He happens to be, my father was Rabbi Chaim Dalfin. He was his cousin. They grew up together like best friends. Him, Motel Kozliner, and Mendel Shem Tov were like the best buddies when they were little boys in Russia. And they grew up together. So I went to talk to them. Anyway, in middle, the phone rings. And who was on the phone? His sister, Basia Azimov, Rabbi Azimov from France, the main shliach over there. My dear friends, if you saw and heard the way he went to that telephone and said, Basia, mein Teierke, was machst du? Basia, my love, my dear one, how are you feeling? The love and connection went through the telephone. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it. The Nikolaev Chassidim were this way. And Rebbe Tzimchana grew up in this culture. So when you think about that, when the Rebbe puts his hand under his mother, that is the same warmth that those Nikolaev Chassidim had. And it's not as though, oh, my mother is old, my mother shouldn't trip, I'm going to now put my hand under her. And that's a side benefit. It doesn't begin there. It begins with the Ava Nafshis, the soul love. That's the experience. So, just to continue on for another few moments about the Rebbetzins' history. She had a very hard life. Rabbi Rosenfeld mentioned before her memoirs. It's really a chiyuv, an obligation to everyone here to read that cover to cover in Yiddish, Hebrew, English, maybe it's in other languages. It's a must read. It's an original diary. We call that writing. Dr. Moritz, what do we call that a writing? You're a writer. A primary source. Not a secondary, a primary source. Seldom do we have primary sources. I just got back from Cincinnati. I researched at the American Jewish Archives to find primary sources. Because much of what we write and what we read, frankly, are bubba mices. Baloney stories. Unless you have authentication from an honest person who, either experienced it or heard it, or you find a source. And there's not, especially today, people have gone on in things that I write about, who can I talk to? So when Rabbi Karp was in Florida and I met him there, I sat with him and I took the time. I want to hear from a person like Baruch Hashem, he's no youngster, and he was around. So I listened. Rafal Eisenberg is older, Rabbi Rosenfeld. In other words, the people with the white beards on one hand, you can say, oh, they're over the hill. and the youngsters feel that way, right? The truth is, we need youngsters very much. The future, which this yeshiva gives, the future for Lubavitch. At the same time, the elders are an anchor. The elders are so important. My Chabad David here, we grew up, Rabbi David Fried and I grew up from second grade on in Lubavitch Yeshiva in Bedford and Dean, before Ocean Parkway. Second grade, little boys. We grew up together in Yeshiva. So the primary, so the Rebbetzins Chanas, this is what I was getting here. Her diary is a primary source, so I really encourage you to read it, okay? So she if you read the diary, she had a very hard life. I'm sorry, until she came to America in 1947. And she would say, I think she even writes it, I think. She says in her diary, my best years are here in America because I have a son with me. And again there, I if I may say so, it wasn't because I have my son, the Rebbe. Of course he's a Rebbe. And he's our Rebbe, and he's the Rebbe. It's her son. Do you understand? The humanity is so important. That's what I'm getting at. There's a humanity here that makes this real. And the same is true, by the way, in our own lives. Children, grandchildren. What are youth looking for? To be real. To be real. Someone once said, he came to Lubavitch back in the 70s, 60s, 70s with the hippies and the gurus and the Buddhism. And some of you tasted that, right? What did they see? Actually, Rafal told me something that I always repeat. I asked Rafal once at my table, he would come quite often to eat with us. And I asked him, what got you? I don't know, Rafal, have you told these chevra? They don't know anything, huh? What enamored you about the Rebbe? This is a product of the 60s, like, what did you see in the Rebbe? And you know what he told me? May I share it? He said, I saw in the Rebbe, I don't know if he used the words, but someone sitting on a dais with 3,000 people all around. Lahavdil reminded him of the gurus over there in India, wherever he went. Right? Malchus. Everyone is turned on a different way to Torah, mitzvahs. Of course, at the end of the day, it's the neshama. Rebbe Chana had a hard life, and she comes to America. I'm talking about that, after Reb Leivik passed away in 1944, she was devastated. And this is also in a primary source by someone named Reb Shmuel Nimoiten, who helped the Rebbe's parents. And after Reb Leivik passed away, he helped Rebbe Chana. And I have his memoir as well. Hopefully it'll come out one day as a book. So he says there that the Rebbetzin didn't want to go out. She stayed in her little hut. Now we would call that, depression. Call it whatever you want. I don't know, today we're labels. Depression, melancholy, mental illness. She was to herself. Another thing with Russian Gittin, they hate taking. I saw this with my father-in-law. He would never ask for anything till the end. They hate taking. They hate asking for themselves. So she didn't ask anyone. And Reb Shmuel went to her and he said, Rebbetzin, he says, "Ihr müsst fahren. You have to leave. And ich habe gekauft a bilet. And I bought you a ticket. Please take it." And he thought she was going to give him a hard time. She doesn't want to take the free ticket. The circumstances were so difficult that she agreed. And she took the ticket, and then she went out with the shalom, with all the Lubavitchers, and came to the DP camp. This is a hard life. Her husband was young, such a goin, and the starvation. Rabbi Yoel told me things that he heard from the Rebbetzin. Chana, because him and his wife would speak to her a lot. He told me, Mamish, there was no food for Shabbos. He opened up to whatever the equivalent of the refrigerator was. There was nothing there. Shabbos was coming. And he told me that she told him once, it was an hour before Shabbos, and Reb Leivik is pacing back and forth. I forget now, and she says to him, Leivik, or Reb Leivik, how she called him, or my man, they said my man, my husband, out of respect. Wir haben nicht auf Shabbos, Kiddush, Challah, Epis. And she said it with a very great pain. And I believe it stops. I don't remember now the Chazal. He quoted a Chazal, I forget now. I think that Shabbos itself is Makadish, that Shabbos itself becomes the Kiddush. And he continued walking back and forth. Did you understand the poverty? We should never understand it. We don't understand it. And we should never want to understand it. But that's the life that they had. This was very, very difficult for them. Very difficult. So she comes to America, and Baruch Hashem, she gets from 47 to 64, gets those years, the good years. So it's in this background that this special woman who gave us our Rebbe, right? The Mama Ruchel, right? Ruchel Imenu. In Bethlehem, where we go to daven, this is our Mama Chana. So it's a special occasion, Yuschus Michal, that it's Yom Aledes, that we have a Farbrengen to say L'chaim, to sing a niggin, and they should help Taka that we should have only Psudas Tevas, Nakmach Sima Teva, L'chaim, L'chaim.
Yeah. Rabbi Dalfin, die Mensch, Shabbos bekatschen.
Was another Chazal, Gedenklich. Was another Chazal. Unless you heard it from the Bjorn, that's what you heard. It was another Chazal, Gedenklich. Spiritual master. Paul, sit by the table. Sit over here. What? Oh, how are you? Why is the phone off? Chaim, on a good year. Good year, Shem on your Chaim to be slow. Chaim. Welche Jahr ist Rabbi Shimon gewählt? Der Rabbi gewählt bei Shimon dein Vater ist Bar Mitzvah, 1942, 43. Dein Bruder told me, you don't remember? Okay.
I know when he was when my brother did.
1951. 51. Yeah. But he was the son. Not bad. Not by the pig in the bed.
It was the Sunday by the bliss.
So,
He didn't need a pig in a pen. My brother doesn't need a pig in a pen.
Right. Thank you. It's, why am I here? Rabbi Roosevelt didn't invite me. Rabbi Roosevelt didn't invite me. No one invited me. In fact, no one invited me.
Wait a second, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? He know every year he makes a Farbrengen. So the last few years he asked me to be on the Zoom. So I decided, even before I knew that he's ultimately moving away, at least temporarily, that I want to be in person. I decided,
You're coming.
that's it. And I was supposed to be in his house. The next thing he says, it's in the shul with publicity, this, that. So, be Michael, please, Rabbi Sai, but this was supposed to be a homie Farbrengen, where I can bang him over the head. So I'm going to do that now.
There's a button that shuts the camera down.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now, but I'll do it in Chassidic Shaifen. Reminds me, Rabbi Yisrael, your father Zol Zayin Gesund told me once, many years ago, there was a Chassid in Eretz Yisrael. His name came from Russia. His name was Reb Zalman Moshe Yitzchoki. They called him Zalman Moshe Hayadua, and he was a very sharp Chassid. They say he knew Samach Vov by heart. He was a big makusher to the Rebbe Rashab. And this Reb Zalman Moshe, as we say in Yiddish, had gehat a Zung. You know what a Zung is? He had a tongue. It doesn't in English. Or we say a gehat a pisk. He was sharp-witted, and he let you have it. And sometimes he would add pejoratives as well, which we're not going to do at this Farbrengen. It's online. Anyway, but he was so sharp at some of the Farbrengens over there in Tel Aviv that the Chassidim, your father told me this, the Chassidim wrote letters to the Rebbe, and probably Jose the Rebbe Simpson read, whatever. I mean, somehow the Friedrich Rebbe, they said, "We cannot sein by a Farbrengen with them. We cannot sit with them." A shell, he curses, And by the way, his son was Rabbi Avram Mayor, who said that mit dem nicht verstanden. Okay, that's another discussion. I'm not going to go into it now.
Yeah.
In other words, you think he was into the nibble pen? He wasn't into the nibble pen. He was talking to his nefesh abamis, a behemoth. So he was really giving it to it. Okay, other name, I'm not going to go into it. Bottom line is that the Chassid of Eretz Yisrael wrote to the Friedrich Rebbe, this is in the 1940s, you got to tell him to stop. Guess what? The Rebbe wrote him, the Friedrich Rebbe wrote him, and his father told me that when he got the letter, he stopped cold using such language at Farbrengens. So we're not going to lay it in that heavy to you, okay? But my father, may be well, was 17, 18 years old, a little younger than you and I, in the yeshiva by the famous mashpia of Rabbi Chaim Kesselman in Lud, in Eretz Yisrael. So he had a Yom Haledes like you, and it happened to be a Farbrengen. Rabbi Chaim was a mashpia, as you probably read in his sefer, in his book about him, that he demanded two things pretty much: iskafia, to hold yourself back from taivas or achila, from eating and indulging in foods, and davening barichas, and to daven at length with kavana. Those were two of his things. No, many of the boys there were not from Lubavitch Russian homes like my father and others, and it took them quite a while to get with it, to understand what My father's side comes from Vizhnitz Chassidim. Going to Vizhnitz, mezing chain, they sing beautifully. Git Shabbos, Git Shabbos, Git Shabbos. 4,000 people singing Git Shabbos, and you're flying high Friday night when you sing Git Shabbos. Chabad's a different avodah. Chassidus, learning Chassidus, thinking Chassidus, davening Chassidus, it's something completely different. So Rabbi Chaim would get to the boys. He was a master. Where is Penny Herman? Oh, he's a psychologist. Rabbi Chaim Penny was a master psychologist, be'emes. If he went to school like you, he would not just be a psychologist, he would be the top from Harvard and Columbia, whatever. Bottom line is, he truly understood a bocher. So at this Farbrengen, this is one of the things that he would do. He would use the Farbrengen to work on a bocher or two. That he wanted him to daven longer, or daven more kavono, or to eat less, or to sleep less, to be, an avodas Hashem. The yeshiva there at that time in Lud, my father tells me, I'm not, no one tzaddikim, but there was a lot of avodas Hashem going on, and serious avodas Hashem. So he tells my father this Farbrengen. He was sitting next to Rabbi Chaim like you're sitting there, and he says, he called him by his first name, he said, I have a question for you. What's the difference between a calf and a cow? No? Smart guys here. What's the difference between a calf and a cow? Michal, what's the difference between a calf and a cow? What do you think?
The calf is a baby and the cow is grown up.
Oh, push it. Actually, Chaim said something different.
Makabel and Mashpia.
No.
The calf can become a cow, the cow can become a calf.
No. All true. Everything everyone said is true. It's not what he said. You know what he said? A calf can jump around a lot. A calf can springen. Jumping. A cow can nicht springen. A cow doesn't jump. Farvos. Why? Come on. Why?
Calf has a lot of energy.
No.
It's a lighter.
A calf, and this is the lesson for all of us, but you're the scapegoat tonight. A calf, I have to say it in a clean way, a calf hataklena acharayim, has a small backside, and a cow has a big backside. And b'meila, the calf can jump a lot. It doesn't have a lot of meat on itself. And the cow is this big behemoth, so it can't jump. And he turns to my father and he says, if a birthday means another year stuffing your face with food and growing your belly and your backside and everything else and your ego, then you're a cow. You can't jump around. You can't explore, v'chulu, etc. But if you're a calf, if you'll stay in yeshiva and you'll refine yourself in all these areas, you can jump around and accomplish. I think this is a brilliant insight into what a birthday is about. Regardless of how old a person is, you have to always be a calf, similar to a calf, not a cow. In other words, never lose your energy. And there's a lot of white beards and some of the chevra I know. You're not over the hill. We're not over the hill. You can write. You can play an instrument. You can paint. You can be an artist. In other words, let's learn from our Rebbe. Or they say when Rabbi Gutnik, the Shnei Zalman Gutnik, came to the Rebbe, I think he was 75 years old, and he retired from the synagogue in Melbourne. He became the emeritus rabbi. So he used the word to the Rebbe in Yechidus, I'm retired. Oh, did the Rebbe give it to him? The Rebbe said, I'm older than you and I have plans for the next 20 years. Something like that. The Gemara says that elders, Canaan, their mind becomes sharper and sharper because of the Torah, because of the knowledge and because of the interest. Yes, sometimes the body doesn't cooperate or we make it not cooperate. So we have to know that and be careful. So it's Yom HaLedus. It's a great time for restitution, reorganizing, refocusing, and truly work on being able to say next year by Yom HaLedus Emetz Hashem, I look back and Baruch Hashem, and there's so much more to do. That is health. That is growth. That is excitement. That is accomplishment, and that keeps you young. Rafal, you remember we had a fellow, actually, Rabbi Roosevelt, he learned here in Pittsburgh when there was a yeshiva here in the 1950s. When Rabbi Zalman Shimon was here, and Sholem Levertov, Simcha Zerkin, and one of them was a bocher named Yosel Moskel. Does anyone know the Moskel family of Lubavitch? So Rabbi Yosef, Olav Sholem, davened with us in Borough Park in our shul, and he was the elder, even older than Rafal, quite older. And I said to him, Rabbi Yosef, you want to stay young? Hang out with us, the young guys. And he did. He did. Stay around young people. Young people get you to move. A vort, an argument, a niggin. So anyway, that's all I have to say about your Yom HaLedus.
Thank you.
That you should take it seriously, and really, people will see you and they'll say, I want to stay young, I want to stay active, I want to stay involved, and I want to help all the Lubavitch institutions
Amen.
continue mamish, because the Rebbe needs everyone, and the Rebbe needs people who support Lubavitch institutions. This is the Rabbeim. This is the Rabbeim. This is not just another institution. This is the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Marash, the Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe. Be'emes. This is it. We're not talking about the fact that you had Rav Shalom Poizner who was at the Talmud and Tomchei Tmimim. Goes all the Rabbeim. And this continues through the youth. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So l'chaim, the Rebbe should help. Michal, you should stay young.
Amen.
Always stay young.
Amen.
And be a ner lahoyer tmimim. The tmimim in the Lubavitch Yeshiva called ner lahoyer, a light to illuminate, a candle to illuminate
Amen.
others. And remember, be like a calf, not like a cow. L'chaim.
Amen.
Rabbi Dalfin, before we sing a niggin, I just want to bring this, like you mentioned Zalman Moshe.
Yeah.
There's a pisgum that gives a little bit of an insight into his nature. It goes like this. He said that a chassid should not daven amini. He said ideally a chassid should daven barichus and shouldn't daven amini. But even if he doesn't daven barichus, the chol hafachas, he shouldn't make a toast and think that you have to daven amini.
Okay.
That was Zalman.
Okay. Let's sing now another niggin that came from the Lavutz and Yanovskis, and the Rebbe loved this niggin. That's a niggin that from the Rebbe's Zayder. You know that? The famous Lubavitch niggin, Ein Zwei Drei. Let's sing that. Ya 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 Rabbi Chaim, say l'chaim. Hey, I'm Seltzer. Say l'chaim. Hit the young calves. Young calves. Yitzhak Gordon. Another former. How are you? Sit down here. Sit down next to me.
What years were you there?
67 through 69. I'm a little younger than you.
There was a Dalfin there.
My uncle, Chaim Dalfin. What's your last name again?
This is Zeitz.
Zeitz, your brother, relation. That's my uncle.
Who's your?
Chaim Dalfin. He was in your class?
I was there.
Yeah, he was there then. Rabbi Chaim, say Chaim. Baruch Hashem. 87. He won't remember you. I will. What? Yeah. just want to say that Stam asked me to bring some of my svarim, so I just put whatever I had over there. I'm giving you guys today prices that you won't get in the stores, so it's like a hay sale, just for your own record. Okay. So in walked another congregant of mine when I was a rabbi. Guess where? A place called Marin County, California. No, the older chevra here. We're in Marin, near Berkeley, right? Berkeley is in the east, and this is north. So Yitzchak Gordon, at the time he was known as Peter Gordon, came with his wife and became part of our Chabad house. Baruch Hashem, he's been here for years, married off, I think you have 2 children or so?
We have 4 children, 3 are married so far.
Baruch Hashem. Great. The Rebbe's arbeit, the Rebbe's work, it continues. Big time. And when you sit next to a Yitzchak Gordon on one side and a Michal Moritz on the other side, and a Rafal Heisenberg, and you see the Rebbe's work. So it's Yom Kippur in a few days. For a few moments I want to tell you a little bit about Marin County and the connection to Yom Kippur. So Marin County was depicted in a 1970s documentary in the following way. Are you ready? It was the hot tub capital of the United States while you're smoking dope, weed. So I recall someone living in one of those cities who says to me, a former New Yorker, arguing about Torah and this, and he knows better than the rabbi. What is he doing? He is raising pigs in his backyard with a hot tub and a cuckoo. Marin County was really counterculture, but in a sophisticated way, Michal. Berkeley was the radicals. Frisco, San Francisco, we know what it was and is. Marin, as we say in Yiddish, there's a word, I want you chevra, the English speakers, to learn this word, bessere Menschen. How would you say in English a good way, bessere Menschen? I mean, the little translation is better people, but it's not a good translation. Huh? Bessere, nah. The sophisticated people. So, the type of people there were intelligent, had good jobs. I think per capita in those years, it was per capita was like one of the wealthiest places in America per capita, all over, generally the whole county. The secularism was very great. I come to Marin County, July of 1984, the Rebbe sends me there. Shavuos, the Rebbe was giving out kosher bracha and bottles to those that were going on shlichus. I was just married. I got married 4 months before in Melbourne, Australia. My wife's in Melbourne. And 2.5 weeks later, I wanted to be at the Purim Farbrengen. I schlepped her away. In hindsight, there was a treasure trove of Chassidim that I could have spent days, weeks, and months. But you're young. Everything has to be now. You got to get back to New York. The Rebbe's Farbrengen in 2 weeks. So I schlep her back to New York. I make the Farbrengen. Shavuos comes. The Rebbe finishes 2-3 in the morning. I forget. And there's long lines. And we lived a block away on Albany, the corner where there's a bank now, an Apple Bank on top. Shopshi Gordon Shalom owned the building at the time. And a friend had leased it, and I sublet it from him. And so it was a block away from 70. So I say to to my wife, Rebbe finished Farbrengen, I'll come home. Talking about, she's a newly married woman. It's by night. It's not the best of neighborhoods, And I'll go back to get kosher bracha, and then the Rebbe will give a bottle that will take a shlichus to Marin County to give out to the people, make a Farbrengen. Lo and behold, by the time I got back, the Rebbe finished already giving out kosher bracha. It was a very quick kosher bracha, an hour and a half, and I came back 2 hours later. Boy, did I feel. I felt so bad. Going on shlichus another few weeks. So I went to Rabbi Grona the next day, and I said, Rabbi Grona, you got to save me. Please, ask the Rebbe, would you mind asking if he'll give me a bottle? I said, I'll ask. I don't know what it'll be. He calls me the next day. The Rebbe sent out from his cup, he poured in from his cup into your bottle. And here's the bottle. So not only did I get a bottle, I got a bottle with the Rebbe's wine in it. Okay. Now, we come to Marin County. There were 19,000 Jews on the Federation list. What is a Chabad rabbi comes out to a little shtetl to a Federation list? I had something to work with. Lucky I had a Federation list, right? You're smiling. You know what I'm talking about. You live there. So I saw an ad. Listen to this. That a friend of mine is a little older, Rabbi Chaim of Chicago. I came across a flyer. It had his picture on it, and next to it, and had in large words, I am not Reform. I am not conservative. I am not Orthodox. And then a small, I am Chabad. I am Chabad. I am Chabad. I am Chabad. And then the philosophy, Chabad loves every Jew, Abbas Yisrael, And I said, this is the flyer that I'm going to use to introduce myself to Marin County. The best message. But, wait. And I went, I printed up 5,000 cards. This is before your time, Yitzchak. You didn't come yet. Nice cards on cardstock, and I was going to do a mailing, because 19,000 people, 5,000 cards is 19,000 people, 5,000 families, whatever. But a shliach, someone who works for the Rebbe, you send in a duch. So I sent in this card to the Rebbe before I sent it in the mail to the people. A few hours went by, and either Rabbi Groner or Rabbi Klein, one of the Rebbe's secretaries, calls me. He says, the Rebbe has given an answer to your duch. So what I was expecting, wow, Baruch Hashem, Asker Alatzian is giving me a bracha for doing this great thing. He faxes into my office the Rebbe's answer. It was like a 10-line answer. It wasn't just an asker, And basically the Rebbe says like this. I don't remember the exact lashon. The Rebbe says, pretty much, the Rebbe says, I'm translating in English. The message that you're trying to convey is that we're all one Jewish people, and Chabad stands for one Jewish people, right? No differences. So the headline of your flyer contradicts that by saying, I am not this, and I am not this, and I am not that. By default, you're saying there is Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox. So your message contradicts the title. Then the Rebbe says, and if this message is even necessary, dai b'dibur, those I remember. It's enough, it's adequate to share this in words, not in writing. And then the Rebbe ended off, I believe, with a very sharp answer, sharp words. Vashem atoiv yichaper. And the good Lord, may He forgive you. Yeah. Very sharp. I took the 5,000 cards. I remember my little garbage can. Dumped them in, spent the money. It ain't going out. Zehu. That's it. The Rebbe is Emes. And Emes knows there's one Yiddish people. And everything else is not important. And it, in fact, can be a contradiction to the message. Yom Kippur, Chazal and the Alter Rebbe and the Rabbeim and the Maimorim explain what is Yom Kippur. If you have to ask yourself, what is Yom Kippur about? Al-Chet, forgiveness. The Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah says an insight that puts it 180-degree spin. The Alter Rebbe says Yom Kippur is about Lifnei Hashem Titoaru. You're coming face to face with God, with Hashem, and the purification comes from that experience and that reality. In other words, Yom Kippur is not just about forgiveness and banging al chet. Yom Kippur is about the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the most pure sense, which is beyond transgression. Can you transgress against yourself? Well, you say, yeah, sure, you can abuse yourself. We do it every day, don't we? Chassidus says, yeah, that's when it comes to the physical limited experiences that we deal with. You can never damage in its quintessential truth the neshama. Before I got married, I learned in LA by Rabbi Shochat in the yeshiva in Aruchana Chabad from 81 to 83. I'll never forget, there was one evening, a Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday, we were up most of the night. Someone comes running in. So we ask him, where are you coming from? I'm coming from Vegas. What did you do in Vegas? Oh, I got into a car and I drove very fast to get to LA because I was being chased by someone who wanted to kill me. Okay, and he told me why. I don't want to go into it right now. And I saw a synagogue on 3rd and La Brea. At that time, so Hamarafu Shleimer Reb Naftali Astum was the rabbi then. That's where we had a shul. And he happened to go in, and Naftali was there. Naftali sees that he doesn't know from Aleph and Abayz that he's running away if someone's trying to kill him. Naftali says, go to the yeshiva. He sends him to us. The next thing is he was learning with Rabbi Chaim Dalfin in his program.
He's also a Bronx boy.
Yeah, he is a Bronx boy. So the neshama is beyond spiritual contamination. You know, like they say, lahavdil, the baptismals, sprinkle this way, sprinkle this way. The chicken is a chicken, it ain't changing. A yid's a yid. All the shtusim, all the nonsense, all the ridiculous things that we experience in life can't change the Lifnei Hashem Titoru Yom Kippur. So Rabbi say, Yom Kippur is around the corner. So I said, you made tshuva. What's the avodah? What do we have to involve ourselves now in? Is getting to our real self, the neshama, the nekudas hayadus, the quintessential aspect of being a yid. And that's what the Rebbe said to me. And why did he, do I know why, but surmising, Hashem atayv yechaper, may the good Lord, may Hashem forgive you. Chaim Dalfin, you have it all wrong. What are you teaching the people in Marin County? I'm not Reform, I'm not Kasur, I'm not Orthodox, I'm Chabad. That's not Lifnei Hashem Titoru. That's not essence. So everyone here, whether you're this or you're that, the this and that is secondary and ancillary. We're Yidden. We happen to be Chassidim, Baruch Hashem, Ashrenu Matev Cholkeinu. And when we go with this Nakuda, when we go with this point, you become happy, you become successful, you thrive. Not like Alan Dershowitz wrote, the surviving American Jew or Jewish American. We are the thriving American Jew. We thrive. The Rebbe thrived. The Rebbe didn't just survive. Yiddishkeit was surviving till the Rebbe came along and he changed the whole face of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism. Be'emes. You know, I spend time and I write about other communities. Many of them, like someone mentioned, Michal mentioned, Satper and Lakewood and Mir and Ponovich and Torah Vadas, and any community you want, I wrote about probably. Kulam Kedoshim, Kulam Mahuvim, they're all beloved, they're all holy. Be'emes. And as Rafal says in Borough Park, it's Be'emes. Beautiful, beautiful. When you get with Lubavitch, when you get with Chabad, is this Nakuda that is here to share with the whole world. And it's happening more and more. I'm in touch with people in Teaneck, New Jersey, which is, the bastion of modern Orthodoxy, making Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. People are learning Chassidus. There's a revolution happening before our eyes, be'emes. When Rabbi Rosenfeld and I were growing up, there was a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles in these areas. Today, most of it is gone. No one's fighting, and no one is putting obstacles. Do whatever you can for Yiddishkeit. Be'emes. Really, it's a different period. And Baruch Hashem. So the Rebbe should help. And on this special day, Vov Tishrei, the Rebbe's and Chana's 60th yahrzeit, and your Yom Haledes, and a few days before Yom Kippur, that we take a few moments of serious thought, and one more nekuda. There's a lot of davening on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Big machzor. And by the way, our davening, I don't know what time you guys started in Pittsburgh, our shul starts 9:30 and we finish 2. Rosh Hashanah. And I was told that the women's section was full. I said, because they asked me how many, have my wife, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. What's the question? We have a lot of, Litvisher girls are coming to daven in Lubavitch. Why? Because they don't want to daven in their shoes. It's too long. That's what I was told. So Lubavitch has this, late in, early out, but there's still a lot of davening. That's davening, yeah. Now, boys, it's better to say a paragraph with kavana than 20 without kavana. There's no rush. Where are you going? Where are you going? To eat a little chon, to a little... Yom Kippur essen doch nicht. Yom Kippur we don't eat. So there's nowhere to go anyway. Take your time, focus, put your talus over your head, those that wear talus. Think about your life. Where am I? Where do I want to be? Where are my children? Where are my grandchildren? It's crunch time. It's Yom Kippur. It's crunch time. This isn't a joke. I mean, if it's a joke, then give it up. And it's not a joke. It's Yom Kippur. Yom HaKodesh. They were Yidden. Yom HaKodesh, they didn't go to sleep. The 770. I remember Chassidim, especially some Bocharim, would sleep on the benches. They would fall asleep on a bench. Yom Kippur. Okay, we go to sleep. We need to sleep. Fine. But nevertheless, so Yom Kippur in a few days. It's a big machzor Take your time. Nowhere to rush. No one can tell you, I need you home at 1 o'clock. The church's burning. L'chaim, l'chaim. Rabbi says, say l'chaim, because if you don't say l'chaim, then the Farbrengen finishes quicker. And maybe you want that. It's fine. L'chaim, l'chaim. Yitzchak Gordon, say l'chaim. Give Yitzchak a l'chaim, no?
I'll take a water, not.
Okay, give him water. Those ain't water, but say l'chaim on something. Say l'chaim, Rabbi say. Chaim mitkin, zog l'chaim. Mit azar zayde, darfst du sagen l'chaim. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Him, what's it called? They'll figure it out without me.
Okay, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Water down material.
So, das matzlich sein in kol anyonim. L'chaim.
Remember your children when they were little, sort of.
All married except my youngest. You didn't even know her.
You know my Aiden?
Who? No, he's in San Francisco. Okay. Don't know. I know the name. Ay, na 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 na. Ay, na na. Ay, na na.
How's your wife? You know my other age? Give her my best gift.
I will.
You know my other age is down.
Oh, yeah, I know. He's younger, but I know. Ah, very nice. It's working. You don't know the diggings. Home Alone. You Bocher, what's cooks me on? Sing, Bocher. What's his name? Babbage! Say the Chaim! Give him the Chaim! You're a Saramashkin! Someone should give out the Chaim! No, don't have the Chaim. I'm here for a night, I might as well up Chaim.
You're not driving.
No! You're getting your Uber. Yeah. I saw. Yeah. No, the Yom Light, Zok L'Chaim, the Yom Light. Markel, give them L'Chaim. The Yom Light. Here.
When did you decide to be an author?
1994, before the Rebbe passed away.
Is your father married?
Yes.
I Farbrengen with him every month and a half. So when you still in Marin, or about 770?
I was already in New York. In Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
All Sunday see.
What's your name?
Leopold. Hold on.
Sit. זה מצליח, עם כל העניין עם מעשים הטובים. You finished? You have to go?
I'll be here for a little bit longer.
Okay. So, I want to teach you a niggin in honor of Reb Michal. So if you're not quiet for me, be quiet for him. Anyway. Michal, this niggin I heard from my father, who heard it in 770 in 1958. In those days, in 770, in a way, it was like the wild, wild west. It was still before the hippies, before Rabbi Jacobson made Hadar Torah, which started in 1962. But the energy that was going on in the 50s, and the young people, I'm not sure they know this, was electric. Because the Rebbe at the time was more, he was youthful, younger, and the first 10 years, I don't want to go into a study now, I wrote about this as well, but the first 10 years of the Rebbe's leadership were the youthful years, where the Rebbe educated Lubavitchers, us. The Chabad started in 55 or 56, Torah started in 56, Tzach, and many basic ideas, the Yiddishahim, all the 50s. So the 50s, to counter American culture, television, wall-to-wall carpeting, and of course the good old Fonzarelli, the Fonz. Oh, you don't know what the Fonz is? You grew up in the 50s and you don't know? And Chaim Dalfin has to tell you? What?
Don't worry about it.
Jewish guy from Milwaukee.
The Jewish guy from Milwaukee.
TV show.
The 50s.
You didn't.
And the isms, feminism. It was a different time, and the Rebbe knew that he had to take, the young guys, because the parents were Russians, many of them, and they suffered. They came to America, you know what they wanted? To relax. To go to the country, the bungalow, the Catskills. Comes along the Lubavitch Rebbe and says there's no time to relax. The story I heard, after the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, there was a question by some, who was going to be the next Rebbe? The older brother, son-in-law of the Rebbe, of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rashab, Shmael Garari, or the Rebbe, right? Most people felt it was the Rebbe, but there was a Farbrengen in Tel Aviv, in a famous shul called the Nachas Ben Yamin Shul, which today is a promenade, with art and culture. You might learn something if you listen. So, Farbrengen, this shul, by the way, was Lubavitch. This was Chassidim that learned by the Rashab. They came over to Eretz Yisrael in 34, 35, 36. No money, no food. They were Chassidim. Rabbi Yoel Khan's father, Foli Khan, a whole group of them. And the Farbrengens in this shul were Farbrengens. It wasn't popcorn and rice. It was a Farbrengen. Anyway, at one of these Farbrengens, the two Gerari brothers, the name was Shmerel Gerari and Moshe Gerari. There's a mashpia in Detroit, Yossi Gerari. His Zayda was named Moshe Gerari. He was a great masculine Chassidus, probably the greatest of our generation. And the two brothers were speaking, and they said, did you hear our cousin? Their cousin was Rabbi the Rashag, Rabbi Shmayahu Gerari, the Rebbe's brother-in-law. Did you hear? They said, Shmerel will sein Rebbe. His name was Shmerel, Shmayahu Shmerel. They're like, these are cousins, like, and they know each other from Russia, so they knew, what's going on in their insides. Okay? You hear? Shmerel will sein Rebbe. By the way, he didn't want to be a Rebbe, but the family wanted, maybe. Okay. And they're laughing like, it's like, come on. He's a good person. He does good things. Rebbe! Come on, you gotta be kidding. Guess who walks into the Farbrengen? No! The Rebbe's brother, Rebbe Yisrael Aryeh Leib. Rebbe Yisrael Aryeh Leib, the second brother of the Rebbe, walks in, and anyway, and he hears the conversation, and again, they knew each other also from Russia, It's a different, when you know each other from youth, it's like, what's the conversation? I know if Pittsburgh's into Trump or Biden, it's like, banter talk, locker room talk, but in a clean way, not to grub away the behemoths. Like, come on. And he hears that they're talking about the Rashag maybe being a Rebbe. So he pops up, and listen to this line, and he says, he says, mein Bruder wird sein Rebbe. My brother will become the Rebbe. He knew his brother. And he knew, with sitting in Eretz Yisrael, and being away from the whole Helach Yelach, the whole situation in Crown Heights and in Brooklyn, my brother's going to be the Rebbe. Don't worry. But, as a Rebbe, he will teach you guys Avdus. He'll teach you a lesson what it means to work. Don't think you're going to have an easy time, because he is going to make you work as being a chassid. That's what Yisrael Aryeh Leib said in 1950, before the Rebbe became the Nasi in 1951. And I heard the story from the son of someone who was there, who told over the story, Rabbi Chaim Dalfin. So what's the message here? A birthday is about work. Yom Kippur is about work. Life is about work. The worst thing is when you retire and have nothing to do, you become an old geezer. How much golf can you play? How long can you surf the internet? It's ridiculous. So my father, when he came to 770 in 1958, and this was the culture of 770, this is why I shared this all with you, to give you a background. He comes in and hears his friends, Chavedim, his friends were Lubavitch Springen, Shemendel Gerelik, and all of the Shemtovs and the Korfs, those were all his Chavedim then. And they're singing a niggin. And he hears the niggin, and I'm going to sing the niggin for you, and then I'll explain it and tell you what he said and tell you what I say on top of that. Okay? Lubilya maya služba krepko. Oi, Lubilya maya služba krepko. Ey, ay, lidid, ay, 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 lidid, ay, 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 lidid, ay, 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 lidid, ay, 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 la, what does it mean? Luba! Philadelphia, the city of love. Lubiya, my love. Anyone's Russian, Ukrainian? I'm sure there are. Mayas, exactly. Maya služba krepko. I really love my job. My father says to his buddies, hey guys, you guys are full-time yeshiva boys. I came from Eretz Yisrael via Paris, via France, to here to do three things. To see the Rebbe, which was the burning desire of every student in the Eretz Yisrael at the time. To get a job to make some money, because the third thing is, I want to get married. I'm not a freeloader. You got to have money to pay for your wife and the kids. Rebbe, job, money. Yitzchak, it makes sense?
Yes.
So he says to his friends who are singing Thursday night at 1, 2 in the morning and drinking vodka and having a good time, what do you know about a job? You guys are a bunch of freeloaders. You're learning yeshiva all day. And what do they say to him? You don't get it. I love my job means I love being a Yid. I love being a Chassid of the Rebbe. And the song goes back to when the Tsar, when it fell and it was taken over, right? There was guerrilla warfare. The guerrilla warfare was every group would go in after a good day's work into the tavern, into the bar, shikr, get drunk and go, luba, luba, luba. We love working for this shmendrik and for this guy and for, luba, luba, luba. So the Chassidim took it and they said, Lubil ya maya slushba krepa. We love to work for our Rebbe. When I heard the nickname from my father, and I heard it many times as a boy and as a teenager, later it dawned on me that really in this song there's an entire discussion. And I'm going to sing it for you with the discussion. And I really would like that you guys learn this niggin and you sing at your Farbrengens. I taught this to Anash and in Potomac, and whenever they have their Farbrengens, they sing the Lubilya. It's a great niggin if you sing it all together. So listen to this. Lubilya maya služba krepko. It's a question. Do I really love my job? Do you really love your job? Lubilya maya služba krepko. Do you really love your job? Now goes the eye to the eyes. In Chabad, Nigina, there's no such a thing as eye to the eye. Stam, eye to the eye. Ay, ay, lit it, ay, 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 which means sometimes I love my job and sometimes I hate my job. When bombs are falling and Yidden Nebuch are being threatened daily, it's hard to love your job. Right? It's very hard. When you have a personal issue and you're challenged, be truthful. How can I love you? My job at the time. It's hard. So the niggin itself gives you the opportunity to dialogue within yourself. Ay, ay, lit it, ay, 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 let it. That's the first set of eye to the eyes. Then comes the second set. And here the voice goes high and deep because it represents victory. Ay, ay, lit it, ay, 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 ay. 1, 2, 3, I definitely love my job. Why? Because that's the neshama talking. The body, the mind, the heart has questions. But when you access your neshama, you access your soul, there's no questions. Let's sing it all together. That's the explanation of the niggin. It's a geschmacke niggin, and it's an important niggin to know and to sing. Lubilya, Maya Slushba Krepka, Shem sich nicht. Don't be embarrassed to sing with me. Oy, Lubilya, Maya Slushba Krepka. 4 simple words. Hey, ay, let it, ay, 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 let it. Yitzchak, you can sing too. Ay, 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 let it, ay, 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 let it, ay, 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 ay. Hey, ay, let it, ay, 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 let it, ay, 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 b'chol Lubilya, Maya Slushba Krepka. Hey, hey, Lubilya, Maya Slushba Krepka. Hey, ay, let it, ay, ay, let it, ay, ay, let it, ay, ay, let it, ay, 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 let it, ay, ay, ay. Hey, ay, let it, ay, 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 ay. L'chaim, l'chaim. See, I brought him off to drive today. Thank you very much. I'm not a real Russian, but Reb Michal was kind enough to put me up in a hotel so I don't have to drive, and I can say l'chaim. And tomorrow morning we just go to the airport and we get weiter. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Because usually when I go to Farbrengen out of town, can't say l'chaim, gotta drive home. L'chaim, l'chaim. You had the foresight, so stand good. L'chaim, l'chaim. Rafal is up l'chaim, Rafal Eisenberg, from the old Chassidim, from the Rebbe's old Chassidim. L'chaim, l'chaim. What about the young Chassidim? The Nayadoi, the young Chassidim here? This is a digging for a Beryl Messiah, if you ever heard of it, Kamachukar Berlach. Where's Markel? I can't sing it.
Rabbi Dalfin, these from over here are pioneers.
This nigga.
They just opened up the Zal first year. In the first year.
I'm saying Beryl Messiah was a Kamachukar Beryl. So they
That's not better. Not singing the battle lock. That's not better.
Why you verhack me? Start. This nigga. Start this nigga. What's verhack? Yeah, what I say. La ra 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 ya la ra ay la ra. Listen, we can't do that Yoel Khan many times. Yes I did. Ay la ra ra. What's the difference? Sing with me. Pinchas Herman. I forgot to mention my good friend Pinchas. Who gave the Pinchas?
Rabbi Dalfin, the guy who is right there.
Pinchas Herman and I were together in Los Angeles. No, sing with me. Sing. Ay, sing. Ay, la ra. Ay, la ra. Zion, sing with me. Who can sing? That is about you're the Balmanagim. Yeah, sing to help me. I can't nicht. I can't do it alone. Bocherim, here, sing. It's her garden. This is soul. Vermischt, verhackt. Ich weiß nicht, singt der Nigen richtig. This Nigen is so deep, so powerful. Ay, 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 la, la. Ay, la, la, ay, ay, Meanwhile, I'll say another thing that's before, because people leave and people forget. I want to talk about memories. And I want to encourage all those with the white beards here. And I told this to Rabbi Karp when I saw him in Florida a few years ago. Write down your memories. If you can't write it down, get your son, your daughter, your grandson, or a writer to write them down. Everyone has a story. There isn't a person around that doesn't have a story. You have a great story, Yitzchak Gordon. Did you write it down? Is it recorded?
Not yet. I can write it for you.
Okay. We need to record our memories. I'm being serious now. Whether you come from this background or that background, makes no difference. Everyone has a story, and a good story. A writer, of course, knows how to take that story and make it rich and be for people. But even if you don't get to that point, do it. One of the things that I do is called family oral history. I've traveled around in various cities in the United States interviewing people, not just shluchim or rabbis, regular people who are not rabbis, fine people, to get their stories, to record their stories, their life. It's not only about the Rebbe. Shem does the Rebbe. My objective is to get your family story, including with the Rebbe, if you have, but a grandfather, a grandmother, a family feud. And by the way, it's yours. It doesn't go out to the public. I record it for you, and it stays with you. If you decide to share it, that's your decision. I recall doing this with someone, and it was amazing. We did 14 or 15 sessions, an hour or two each. Thank you. We did a lot of. It's great. He was 84 years old at the time, 85, 84. His memory worked well, Baruch Hashem. And he said something, and afterwards, after we finished, I said to him, I think this and this that you said we should take out. We shouldn't even have it recorded. Why? Because you made with your nose and your pitch of your voice about one child, ha! And about another child you went, Chaim Dalfin, when he does oral history, is intensely involved in listening to the interviewee. Guys, please, this is Farbrengen. We need quiet, okay? If you want to talk, there's a door outside. So, the interviewee and the interviewer are most important, because there are nuances that are said that if you're not in tune, it might be recorded, and you never know who's going to listen to it. You got 5 kids, 6 kids, 3 kids, 14 kids, right? It's going to go out to your kids. No? If you said about this kid, oh, and about this kid, it ain't nice. You don't want that. We have to obliterate it. No zeicher, no record of it, right? Again, it's your decision. But I'm just pointing this out.
How he feels. I don't understand how you keep telling him how to feel. That's how he feels about his children. One's high, one's
And when I brought it,
history. That's beautiful.
Hello, relax. I heard your point. I heard your point.
Problem is that you didn't make a l'chaim yet.
Wait.
Your dad is the.
Hello.
It's you make a l'chaim first.
And I didn't tell him he has to take it out. I just brought it to his attention, and he said to me, "You're right," and he took it out. You're right. If someone doesn't care, no kol hakavod.
I don't want such history.
You don't. No problem. You want family feuds? No problem.
You just said that you like family feuds.
No, I said I need to hear everything as much as I can.
Including.
But if I feel they're sliding at one of, I'll tell them they can leave it. It's their decision. I'm commissioned. I'm working for them.
He didn't say create.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. Let's go on. You're picking a fight. There's no reason for it. So, that's ridiculous. Okay, the point is, the bottom line is, the young people here are still young, but the older people of us here sitting at the table, do yourself a favor, record. Another example, I went to interview someone, Nebuch, he had a stroke, also 84, 85. The quality of that interview with the 10 sessions, pulled out as much as I can, has so many documents, but it's not as fresh. He's a stroke patient. So don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait for that time. Do it in your 60s and 70s. Do yourself a favor. That's all. I just wanted to mention it because I feel a chayv, a responsibility that this is not being done. It's not being done, and it needs to be done. For the sake of you never know, a grandson, a granddaughter will listen to their Zayda, their Baba, and what will tickle them, what will excite them, and they'll be moved. They'll be moved, So it's very, very important. L'chaim, l'chaim. Ya 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 da da ya ya. What time is it? Ya how's it going? It's going great. The book. Yeah. So, Farbrengen. What's a Farbrengen? It's not a lecture. Many Farbrengens, they become lectures. Not here to lecture. You can listen to a lecture. A Farbrengen is when we talk heart to heart. And when you have a Farbrengen, and you really are Farbrengen, there's an expression in Yiddish which is the neshama ret, the soul talks. We are accustomed, to, there's a word my kids make fun that I like. We're accustomed to pontificate. Dr. Herman will tell you what it means.
What's the translation of Lashon HaKodesh?
You'll ask Dr. Herman. We pontificate.
This is one of those things, in the English Siddur, we have to look at Lashon HaKodesh to understand what I mean.
A Farbrengen is not about pontificating.
Yes,
Yes, verstehst du. Very good. Farbrengen.
By the way, you are right. He knows how to translate.
I know my customers. So, a Farbrengen is when you allow, and it's very hard, you allow yourself to go beyond your facade. I don't know if, Penny, you'll agree, but I like calling a Farbrengen Chassidic group therapy. If it's the right atmosphere where we're Farbrengen together, it's a therapy. It's very therapeutic. What do you think we did in yeshiva? I don't know, there's young Bacher in here, but I'll just share with you a little insight, only a little. When we were in Morristown, 1979 through 81.
That's before Los Angeles, yeah?
Yeah.
Los Angeles were like what,
81 to 83. So we had under the buildings, they probably still have, they have, all the pipes, and we called it the tunnels. Can you imagine? The tunnels of Tough Shin Pei. Last year, we had the tunnels of Morristown already in the 70s. Anyway, what did we do Thursday night? Listen, Michal, you were a college student or a high school student.
Maybe.
I'm a little older than you, I think. And I was a yeshiva bacher. So Thursday night, this was the order by me. There was a doctor maybe well, he's an anesthesiologist. Moshe Gehrman, a good friend of mine. He was in residency at Maimonides Hospital in Borough Park. He would come and drive an hour from Borough Park to Morristown to learn Chassidus with me. 10 at night. And he came in his scrubs. It was, I'm a naive boy. What do I know? Barely know about the New York Mets, the New York Yankees, and a few other things. What do I know?
Does German live in Muncie now?
No, the father lives in Crown Heights. Anyway, he comes, we learn to see this for an hour and a half. Then he leaves, and we learn a little more and more. And 2 in the morning, we head down to the tunnels. What do we do in the tunnels? Farbrengen. Who's Farbrengen? The Bocher themselves. We amongst ourselves. Who? Different groups. We weren't following the Rebbe's advice. The older class was Alte Bucket, Yitzhak Krasyansky, Shimon Rosenfeld, Yitzhak Proust, that group. They were one class older than us in Morristown, and we were younger. We were the younger group. We Farbrenged in one side of the tunnel, and they Farbrenged in the other side of the tunnel. Farbrengen went from 1, 2 in the morning till 4, 5 in the morning. Literally. Lots of mashke, lots of nigunim, lots of tears, and lots of really this group therapy of saying get
And go. Lots of match.
Okay? And 5, 6 in the morning we come out, and this is 7:30, I thought. 7:30. The Melech Tzubo Sholem Zar Mashpia. We lay down for an hour or two, and those of us that were able, we got up, even though sometimes we had a hangover. Not a hangover, we got up, we learned Chassidus, davened, laid down again, then went on Mitzvayim Friday afternoon. This was a Bacher's Thursday night, Friday in Morristown. Now, I'm not saying everyone, definitely not everyone, but quite a few. So, a Farbrengen,
Are you recommending this for today's Bacher?
absolutely, if they're really going to Farbrengen this way. I remember the Melech Tzvi used to call. The Melech used to call me over in the morning because the Zal was almost empty, and he says, "Wordt men verbracht? Where do we Farbrengen?" I said, he knew, but he was playing with me. I said, "Allein verbracht with ourselves." He says, "Sehr gut." Usually you don't Farbrengen without a mashpia, but he knew who the score, and he knew exactly. But what am I getting at? What I'm getting at is that a Farbrengen is a time, not only when you're a Bocher, even when you're a younger man. I'll tell you, Farbrengen in Marin County, when I came in July, August, one of the Balabatim, you know who, I don't want to say his name, because you were there when there
were several characters.
So one of the characters had a bar mitzvah for his son, and I just came a week or two before. I'm coming out of 770. I'm coming out of the Koilel. I'm coming out of Crown Heights. I'm 23 years old. It's all Rebbe, Lubavitch, Chassidus. That's all there is. Nothing else. And I see that at Shmoneh Esrei on Shabbos, when we have a minyan, his feet, let me demonstrate, his feet were like this.
Can't see your feet.
Like just.
You have to stand on the table if you want to.
No, you get it.
There's tables.
Don't worry. He thinks I'm.
I know.
Just relax. I know my crowd.
So do
I know how to hold a crowd.
Okay.
Shmoneh Esrei, go like this. So, I go over to him and I go like this. I tap his shoe to put his feet together. Did he blow up? Oh,
He was a tall guy, right?
yes.
Yeah, I know who he is. Okay.
Well, how'd you guess?
It wasn't hard.
He's a good guy. Anyway, dare touch me? So I said, it's Shulchan Aruch, it says when you daven Shmoneh Esrei, your feet should be together. He and I were on two different worlds. This person's coming out of the 60s with everything else, that 60s plural. Thank God that he's in a shul davening and he's keeping Shabbos. I expected him to put his feet together. You gotta be crazy. Then there was the Farbrengen Shabbos. One of the people, how did I come to Marin County? One day in the summer of 1983, yeah, I was in Westwood, in the Gately Chabad house, the first Chabad house, Rabbi Kunen's Chabad house. And Shlomo Schwartz was at that time still working for Chabad, Schwartzy. I knew him, we knew each other, I met him there. He's on the phone. He takes away the thing he says, Dalfin, you want to go help some Jews somewhere in California for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur? I said, sure. I didn't ask him where. I didn't ask him why. An opportunity to help. Langer, he goes back on the phone. Langer, Yosef Langer was at the time the shliach over there. Yosef Langer, I found someone for you. He's going to come. Great. So I find myself another bacher who played Chazan, Baltfila, and I was the rabbi. And we went out to Marin and we met these Balabatim. It's all story and many details, but we had a great time. And they said, come back to be our rabbi. I said, I don't mind being your rabbi, but I ain't married yet. And we don't go out on shlichus without a wife. They said, fine, find yourself a wife. I said, you got a deal. I'll find a wife, and you find the money to support this wife and this husband. They said, we got a deal. They went around getting pledges. They had a board, they had a congregation, they had a bank account, and I went and found a wife. My kids, when they hear the story, they say, Ta, this is like ridiculous. You found a wife because you needed to go actually because you found a wife. It's like the Mitler ever said, why does he want to get married? To hear more my mother of the Alter Rebbe. I maybe say Lahavdil, but But bottom line is, Baruch Hashem got married, and they put together some money. But one fellow, I remember who it is. This is before your time, and he was a real Chaver man. I'm going to just leave it at that. He made big pledges. He had access to some money, but he didn't come through. And they told me this. He was at the Farbrengen for the bar mitzvah boy. He was at the Farbrengen. I drank quite a bit of l'chaim, and as I said, I was coming out of 770, and I took my shoe and I threw my shoe at him. And I didn't throw it at him to hurt him, chas v'sholem, but like, you're a jerk. You know that these guys are putting together the funds to put this all together, You made a commitment. Why do they have to chase you? You got the money. You have to be smarter. I share this with you because it backfired. What do you mean it backfired? Both the kicking of the shoe to stand Shmoneh Esrei with the feet together and throwing the shoe is not the way to do it. When you're 23, you think it's the way to do it, but it's not the way to do it. That's not the way you deal with someone who is not giving his pledge or not putting his feet together for Shmoneh Esrei. It's hindsight, but that's the truth. So on one hand, the energy of the youth is gewaldic, is unbelievable. At the same time, the youth need the elders to guide and to advise and listen, because the elders have gone through life, they have experience. And I say this in regard to the younger people here. The older people here, myself included, we have already grandchildren. And today there's another issue which we all know. Who listens? Who listens? I forget, someone asked me here when I came, or someone asked me today, were you involved in your last two? Oh, Rafal, you asked me. Rafal wished me well when my daughters, Baruch Hashem blessed. In 2.5 months, I married off two daughters.
Question, anyone want brackets?
I don't know, but how to Farbrengen. My one daughter, I waited 10 or 11 years. The other one, 5 years. And within 2.5 months, they both went under the chuppah. 2.5 months. So Rafal asked me, was I involved with the shidduchim? Rafal, was I involved with the God made these shidduchim? And it's, on one hand, it's like you look back, you say, why did I have to go through the agony? And I had a lot of agony, and I had a lot of pain. Like I'm struggling to get my girls married. What does a parent want, a father and mother, to see all the children under the chuppah? That is our dream for those that God blesses them with children. And those that God blesses them not with children, they want to see other people's children under the chuppah. Anyway, so Hashem runs this world. He really does. And sometimes He allows you to see it. Many times He doesn't. But it's the same Hashem, the same God that runs the world when your two daughters marry within 2.5 months. The same God when your two daughters are one's looking for 10 years and one's looking for 5 years. And you're pulling your hair out. And my wife, God bless her, I must tell you, her betachin and emunah, always, never, and I think about how far I am for that reality. And that has to do, by the way, with culture too, which you spoke about. The parents she comes from, parents I come from Holocaust parents. They were in the Holocaust. So Holocaust family is a very different family. She comes from an American mother. She was born in America in the 1920s. My father was born in Russia, but he wasn't the Holocaust. He was, he had Stalin to deal with. Different energy, different people. And when you look back and you see betachin, where's the faith? Where's the trust? It's in a way it's like embarrassing. Here you are with this big beard, with this. Someone said I have like the zero haircut. I don't have a zero, but whatever. Like with this kapota. What kind of chassid are you? You're a chassid? Are you a chassid? What are you worried about? You have to ask yourself that question. You have to be a big boy. Face up to it, really. What kind of chassid am I? What kind of a yid am I? So when it comes a time like this, and we're educating our children, and today someone asked the question, why is it that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? And today we see the apple falling very far from the tree. What's the answer to the Gemara in Bava Metzia? When there's a ruach mitzuyah, when there's a normal wind, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. When you have a hurricane like Hurricane Milton, whatever it's called now in Florida, boy, is that apple going to fall far from the tree. We're living through a hurricane. We are. We're living through a hurricane. There's a hurricane. You could take the hurricane and make the best of it, or not. But there's a hurricane. So, you'll say there was a hurricane in Stalin's times, and with the isms and different type of hurricane. Yeah, it was a hurricane then. A different type of hurricane. And guess what? We lost about 80%. Most Jews left. Most Chassidim. I once took a picture of Chassid, the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek in the Marash. His name was Brennan. His son was Yehuda Leib Brennan, a very famous poet and writer, and came to Eretz Yisrael. I found to put him online, face to face. The father has a beard till his puppet, till his belly button. The son is totally bald, totally no beard, nothing. Father and son. 1860s, 1880s, mass immigration, pogroms, it's all out the window. Zionism, intellectualism, communism, give it all up. Baruch Hashem, that we're living at a time now that we have ways of streamlining, but we have to work hard. And if all we walk away with from this Farbrengen is one one point I want to suggest to the young people, the younger light, to sing nigunim with your kids at the table, Shabbos, Yom Tov. You can't imagine the power of nigunim. I have a daughter who has 6 children, right? And she tells me, Ta, I just love the nigunim at your table. I remember the nigunim. I try to sing with my kids. And trust me, she's not me and I'm not her, okay? Great mother, great person, great Lubavitcher, great Jew, but different. The niggin binds us. Nigunim. A little slower, a little faster. I have the 3 niggin rule at the table. You don't leave the Shabbos and Yom Tov table without singing 3 nigunim. You choose the nigunim. And you ask your child, you ask your grandchild, listen, sing, be there. You don't have to schlep it out. Chevra, guys, if you want to talk, please talk outside. I'm asking you for a favor. You don't have to schlep it out. But sing the nigunim. How did I get a love for nigunim? Baruch Hashem.
Your father, right?
I got it from my father, but I also got it in yeshiva. And I got it from, right from my father, right? Yitzchak is right. What he's referring to, I think. When I was a boy, my father's a European Jew. With my father, you didn't sit at the table, your backside felt it. No jokes. Okay, that's the way I was raised. And my father would sing for half an hour nigunim that he learned in yeshiva. He worked so hard during the week. He worked 2 jobs with rats and mice around his head in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And don't ask, right? To bring home parnasa, right? Shabbos was his day of rest. He would be up 7 in the morning. I remember he was sleeping out here. He would say, look at the Torah, tight up. On the Rebbe Zagdos in Yiddish to himself, like he's learning a class with 20 people. 7 in the morning. That's what I woke up to, right? Friday night, he was singing. Shabbos day at the table. And it was 3 of us, 3 boys and 1 girl. And we were regular boys in America. You have to. You don't sing. You can't leave the table. It wasn't like, you can leave the table. And like today, okay, no, then don't. My father, you mess around with him and you're going to get it. That's the way, I'm not saying that's the way it should be. Right? The point is, he made me listen to those nigunim, and later it crept into my bones. And when I matured, I said, wow, I have something here that's a gold mine. And I developed a love for it. If 3, 4, 2, 6, not all the kids are going to like it and get it, 1 or 2 will. It's worth it. But you, the father and the mother, have to be on the same page. So I really would like you to make this a priority, really. And today there's so many gunim and tape and online. And Markel, I love his gunim. I mean, it's a different style, but it's I wanted to tell him that I would listen to it. It gave me again. It's not the way Rabbi Yoel Khan sang a niggin, but it's very geschmack, a different type. So that's a very important point as we looks like coming to the end of the Farbrengen. And the Rebbe would say this isn't an end. This is just a temporary stop till the next time, right? Shabbos, Yom Tov, maybe another time. I have to get back 5:45. I have to get on a plane, so it's not much tonight, So, but Shabbos, Yom Tov, you come and you have time to Farbrengen, and we have to get back to those traditional values, those values that we grew up with. Yitzchak Gordon, that you experienced 35 years ago in Marin County with Rabbi Rice and myself. Good old times when the world today is going through a lot of challenges.
I remember a Lag Bomer picnic. 20,000 Jews in this county could barely get a minyan at the Chabad house. The Lag Bomer was the big yontif in the Bay Area. We went to some picnic tables in some park in Marin. And you and Rabbi Rice were singing, the Gunam for Lag Bomer. Very special.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Just a few people around the table, but powerful. Before you started writing, you made tapes of the Gunam and you promoted it. I remember
Yeah, so
that.
now I have them on CD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it's so Michal, when you make a Farbrengen, you have a schus that we're able to share, a big schus, and we need schusim. We need schusim. So this is a big schus. So there's no question HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to pay it back big time.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm convinced,
Amen.
and it's going to be sooner than later.
Amen.
Just go, like Josh Gordon, Yeshua Gordon says, what does he say? The merits, what's the Lashon the Rebbe told him in an answer, with zest, ubitochen gomer,
Amen.
and true trust in the Eibishter. Hey, yadada, yadada, hey, yadada, yadada, hey, yadada, yadada, hey, yadada, yadada, hey, Six kids. Wow. Florida.
Where in Florida?
Hallandale, near Hollywood.
His daughter said it was as far away as in North Miami Beach.
Not far.
I don't know if you ever met her.
Who's she married to?
Menachem Rubin. Father's Yankee Rubin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I have a story about that too, but then
So who got married?
the little ones, you don't know them, Hinda and Bela, my younger ones.
I think him I've heard of.
Beautiful women.
I'll end with a story, since he mentioned the marriage. One more story and then I have to go. My son, I have, Baruch Hashem, one son, Mendel, and 7 girls, Menachem Mendel. He's my oldest, he's my bchor.
I remember him.
You remember him? They know he has 6 children too, he lives in Florida. Special younger man, special. Tremendous betochen. I wish I would have his betochen.
Really?
I don't have his betochen. So, he meets someone, growing up in Brooklyn, like in Crown Heights and Lubavitch, you recognize a name. You recognize a name, you say, oh, this family, I know, you know what I'm saying? And what if a name comes to you and you don't know anybody and you don't know? For me, it was very difficult. Like, I don't know what to begin with. You hear of an Itkin, you hear of a Rosenfeld, you know the names. And then you can say, it's for me, it's not for me, it's for my family, not right. But you don't know a name. So, and he says to me, and I went to Yisrael in the middle while I was meeting at my mother's yard side, Yudalef Nissen. My mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Lived in Gan Eden. Very fine, especially Yid.
Your grandmother.
My grandmother, Hinda, yeah. Holocaust survivors.
That's right.
Holocaust survivors. Anyway, so he calls me up and says, Ta, I would like to get engaged to this girl. I say, Nachum Mendel, I can't deal with this now. I got my mother's yard site. I'm in Eretz Yisrael. This is too much. Just let me come back. We'll talk about it. Friday night. I'm telling you a story now that is emes. I'm not making up anything about the story. It's emes v'yatzif. 12:30 at night. I'm sleeping in this apartment, Rechavia, I think it was, and I have a dream. And the dream is the Rebbe comes into my house where I live now. He comes through the door and he stands by one of the chairs with his hands on it, and I'm standing right next to him. And he says to me, you are to make this shidduch. And I remember like now, when he said that, I jumped at him. I said, what? I was in the middle of the street. Like, what? And I got up and I was like, wow. And I said, did I have this dream? And am I going to remember it tomorrow? And I'm just like, and I remembered it. Wait. Next day, I have mother's yard side, the next week. So I made up with the Gabbai, who was a Frenchie, the Lubavitch Shul in Rechavia. I made up with him. He said to me, I said, I want to take maftir, my mother's yard side. He was an Elvel, and he was getting maftir every Shabbos. He's the Gabbai. So he says to me, Rabbi Dalfin, I'll make with you a deal. If you Farbrengen by the Kiddush with the people, I'm going to give you my maftir, and I'm going to go outside and make a separate minyan at maftir. I'm giving away my maftir to you on the condition you Farbrengen with the people. You got a deal. I enjoy Farbrengen, no problem. Farbrengen. There was a shliach there who I knew from 770, an Israeli, a real Chassidic guy, but a wild cannon, a loose cannon. I'm not gonna. He's in India today, and he took a lot of mashka before I could begin Farbrengen. And now it's my turn. The Gabbai says, Rabbi Dalfin, please say something. And before I can say boo, he hucks me and he starts attacking and he starts hacking. And I'm sitting there. I didn't drink. I'm just, okay, go ahead.
You didn't make Kiddush?
Not a mashke, I'm wine. Anyway.
Oh, shame on you.
Okay. So, and he goes on, and he's getting really rowdy. And I'm just sitting there. What? The guy obviously had drank a lot, and he's a Chassidic guy, and he's a good guy, and he's taking over. Okay, big deal. But the Gabbai, the Frenchie, always he upset, because he sacrificed his maftir for me to speak. Chevra, they got into a fist fight. Bottles were flying, I'm telling you. Wow, and everyone just ran out. The place, wow, it was becoming really, it was like a fraternity. Drunk, what's going on in Meshuggah? Okay. I go home to someone who was a pilot in the IDF years ago, and he made a was successful, and he was about tzedakah. He was very known, and he says, "Come to me for chont." Well, chont Shabbos, I was a single guy. The Michal was kind enough. He had some little meat there. I had a little meat, a little rice. I'm on the go. So what do I have on the plane? There, a bag of popcorn. So I come to him. He's already home. A half an hour later, who walks in? The shliach, the shikr. I say, oh no, he's chasing me. The president invited him too. This Chavraman, they invited him because he knows the shluchim come to him for money and all that. And I'm sitting there. I'm saying, Chaim Dalfin, what are you going to do now? Just be quiet and just let the show go. Go on. And he turns around to me. I'm telling you, this is Emes Vyatzev. He turns and says, Dalfin, he says, listen to me. Reb Mendel Futterfass told us in Kfar Chabad in Yeshiva when we were Bacharim that if you have a dream, no, wait, no, stop. First he says to me, Dalfin, listen, when it comes to Shidduchim, don't mix in. Let your wife handle everything. I do it that way. And I'm sitting there myself. I don't believe what I'm hearing. I'm mixing into my son. My wife was fine with it. I'm asking him to please hold off. Then I have this dream with the Rebbe. And then he says that Mendel told us at a Farbrengen in Kfar Chabad that the Chassidim of the Tzemach Tzedek would say that when the Rebbe, when a chassid comes to you in a dream, it's lav davke. It's not necessarily going to happen. But if a Rebbe comes to you in a dream, if one of the Rabbeim come to you in a dream, go out, buy a flash mashke, say l'chaim, it's in the bank. It's going to definitely happen. I say, well, I'm staying there. At this point, I said, I have to tell you. I didn't tell him anything. I said, I have to tell you the story. And I tell him what happened. Because he had said to me, Motzei Shabbos, I call my son and I say, you have permission to get engaged. And I'll meet you at the oil. I was coming back before Pesach. We'll go to the Rebbe and we'll announce the engagement. And then he says to me, I didn't tell you this, but Tuesday night after you told me I should wait, I was upset and I was frustrated. I went to the oil myself. And I asked the Rebbe to knock sense into my father. He should give me the green light. Rabbi say, is there a Rebbe? Is there a Rebbe around? Is he real? He's real. As real as it gets. And then he got married to the girl. Yes, the kinderlach. And I'm just saying. So it's all in the perspective, We all, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. We get in the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. It's hard to get out of the way. Get out of the way. Let the Eibishter and the Rebbe do what they need to do because they're going to do it. Just get out of the way. If you don't feel committed, you don't feel excited, get out of the way. Well, the Eibishter helfen that each and every one of us only brachas begoli. What do we say, Yom Tiv? Michoel. Gale kveid malchuscha. Gale. I wrote this to my kvutz. We have a group. Gale. What does gale mean? Reveal. There is the pride of God, kvod malchuscha, but we want the gale. Revelation. The revelation is if we are our own gale. Zusha the partisan, Zusha Vilmovsky, went over to the Rebbe once in Simchas. I think I was there. I used to stand up front by the Rebbe over there, up front Simchas. And he said to the Rebbe, Zaytzich Megale, reveal yourself as the Mashiach, Zaytzich Megale. The Rebbe said to him, Zeit ihr sollt sich Megale sein. It's time that you should reveal yourself. Gale! Who's the Gale? Where's the revelation? That's what we need, the revelation. the revelation of self, the revelation of the Rebbe, the revelation of Mashiach, the revelation of God. We need light revelation. And we do this by being Chassidim, by really being Chassidim, taking a l'chaim, a niggin, Farbrengen, and talking with each other, not at each other, with each other. You heard the word I said at the beginning with Michal. I think Michal took it with each other, not at each other. When you're friends, you can say anything. When you're not friends, you can say nada. Because then it's like, I'm attacking him, he's attacking me. When you're friends, we love each other. We care for each other. So what I'm saying is from my heart, and what you're saying is from your heart. And that's the way we grow. So l'chaim, good gebencht yor. Everyone should go into to Yom Kippur with Galei revelation, and the Mashiach Taka should come now, the cut of Mamish, without fantasies and obstacles and bubble mices, but a real Mashiach. The Rebbe will come and be Megal himself to Klal Yisrael, and those that don't understand it yet, no. The Amshinover Rebbe told me 20 years ago at 6 in the morning in Bayit Vegan, after speaking with him for an hour and 45 minutes, and he said to me, "Was tut sich in Lubavitch mit Mashiach?" And my face turned colors, because this was Tafshin und Zayin und Ches, and it was the whole controversy. I didn't want to get into it. But the rabbi, and he's a real Oved Hashem, a real special Yid, he asks me a question. He wants to know the truth. So I told him that there's this side and that side, blah, 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 blah. And then he said to me, I always repeat this to the Chevra in Borough Park, Lo Nora, Lo Nora. It ain't that bad. It ain't so terrible. That's what the Amshinover said to Chaim Dalfin 20 years ago about the Mashiachistim. Okay? So if the Amshinover Rebbe could say that, I'm not a Mashiachist, but if he could say that, that's pretty good, you know. So let us just love each other, let everyone live and let live, and life will be easier. And trust me, today, it's already past all that. No one is not coming to Lubavitch or this or that. Used to be, I remember Avraham and Rabashkin over show. It's now 30 years later. You can dance and jump and do whatever you want. It's all fine. So the Eibusher should help that Mashiach Taka should come in a real way, and we should do it with Avas Yisrael, and feel good about each other, and not be divisive, and be smart, and know when to say what and when not to say, and the Eibusher will help that we'll have Mashiach. Amen, amen, amen. Those that need to make a bracha achrei should make a bracha achrei. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Richtig.
You haven't started. You just.
What?
He took me to see the Rebbe the only time I went.
Really? I don't remember. Really?
Yeah. It was a few months before his stroke. He said that's about when you started writing books too.
No, I started late in 94. Maybe I started in 92.
The Rebbe passed away what year?
94.
You doing okay?
Remember Peter Bloom or something?
Yeah.
He took me and I to see the Rebbe.
That's right.
And you said, the Rebbe's going to be up there, and you have to I'll help you. We have to get through the crowd to get up there. And he was very polite. He said, oh, excuse me, you never got anywhere. And I followed you up to the Rebbe. He was too polite. He never made it.
Where's Markel? He left.
Yeah.
I need him.
Is he alright?
No. I mean, I didn't have a ride. He was almost to take me, but I'm going to the hotel. But want them to hold the books. My books have to be held here.
I was in New York for the
I have a whole plan. Hey, neighbors can show the books. What?
You have a box for
I don't know. Yeah, my box is under there.
I don't know what he is learning. You?
Shakayach, you know how to swing.
What I'm there, I get there.
Oh, we need to see
For us, it's a game.
We're happy to see
Three of them. Summer.
I got a whole set of PDF.
Really cool. And also the cover in the bottom. I didn't know the Hebrew. I don't know how to read the Hebrew abbreviations. But it basically said that Jonas and Ryan put together.